of the things about you is whenever I've seen you, it's a full-on performance when you're doing your set. Do you feel the pressure of having to give that every time? Can you go in and just not give that and still feel satisfied?
Well, I was really pushing myself hard over 2011 to 2012, and then I had a scooter crash in a little bit after that. It was about 16 months ago, and it just stopped me in my tracks and left me completely frozen in time. And it made me realize that time is longer than we think. We have a lot of time to grow and to change and to evolve and to keep doing it. It's not going to end. Nobody's going to leave you high and dry if you keep contributing to your community and you keep trying to make new sounds. And people, they'll wait for the next record, or they'll wait for the next gig, or you don't have to be relevant all the time. It doesn't have to be this hustle all the time. And the performances are the same way. I mean, the more I look at an audience like a bunch of babies who need to be taught and fed good, healthy music and energy, then I have a nice, relaxed performance where I get to perform at my own pace. And when the crowd gets rowdy, then I get rowdy, and then I drop a new song, and that gets everybody crazy, and then we escalate together. Instead of this thing where I have to be on every single time. That's just not the way the world works. That's not the way human beings work. It's not the way energy works. You just have to accept what it is in the moment. It's a freaking blink, and then you wake up the next day and move forward.
Yeah.
So if you put all this pressure on your performances, it just adds to the stress of it all. Instead of saying, these people paid money to come see me perform, and they're just waiting to be fed, and let me give them what they want. It doesn't have to be my body broken in half on a fucking tray. It could just be great music and a good aesthetic, you know? And if they give me the energy and they get me riled up, then it'll turn into a Tasmanian devil alert, you know? But otherwise, it's just the music, you know, and the frequencies and the energy and the vibe and curating the sounds for the people. That's what they really want.
Now, you're into curation. You're into putting these lineups together. When I was in LA last week, you were putting on a big party at the Mayan Theatre.
Gaslamp Killer and Friends.
Yeah. So is that the future, or just the balance of the two?
Yeah, well, I did the Gaslamp Killer Experience, which was a 14-piece band playing my music, with me as the conductor and the sound effects tape echo master, and that was so fun.
What was the best track? Which track came out the best for you?
Shattering Inner Journeys, because that song is 4 songs in one. So I was able to take the band in one 5-minute song. We hit 3 beats that are really super heavy and different than the others, and the band really liked that. And they also liked playing Veins, a song that Gonjasufi and I did a long time ago. And we did a Veins reprise. So we had a string section playing these strings, super classy, and then all of a sudden percussion player starts coming in, and then the brass starts creeping in underneath with Todd Simon on the arrangement and Dexter Story on the percussion, and all these amazing musicians. It was just like, I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it. Like, just to hear my music being played live that way under my supervision and my production and my ear, it was the greatest. So that really pushed me forward. But also the Gaslamp Killer and Friends is really important to me, because if I could have my own stage at a festival, I could bring the greatest talent to it, and it would be just perfect.
So what's up with Curation? They needed you.
They asked me to do the Gaslamp Killer Experience, actually. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that yet. It doesn't matter, but I'm really excited to present my new band there in 2015.
Great.
So they did choose one. I gave them both. They're like, look, we don't give anybody a stage. We don't ever do that. This isn't Door, you know, and you're not Lefto, so you can't just have your own stage to have a party on. I'm sorry.
Okay, give me all time, living or dead or alive, right? All time 5 artists that would have to play with Gaslamp Killer and Friends.
Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Bob Marley. I know those are typical. I'm sorry, everybody, but those 3 are my gods, and I'll never ever stop loving them so much. And Miles Davis.
Which period?
I know this is kind of typical as well, but Bitches Brew, for sure. I mean, that's my shit. And then number 5, I really think that Death Grip should get back together and play for me. That's the only new group that I'm like, can I please get those guys back together to play once? I did perform with them in Austria. I opened for them, and it was awesome. and hanging out after the show. I was just like, these guys are incredible. They're destined for glory. And then they're like, this scene sucks. We don't want to give you music anymore. We're done. Like, being an artist is hard. You know, everybody doing their own thing. I don't know what they're going for, but I miss them desperately.
Well, I tell you who I miss, and one of the best concerts we ever put on in Set at the Worldwide Festival. I'm serious with you, because it was a real kind of 50-50 split in the audience.
No shit.
You know, it was great because it was kind of like Confusion, which is they're the best gigs for me anyway, because they're the ones where there's people going, this is the best thing ever, and people going, what the fuck is going on? I love
What was
concerts.
Gilles Peterson thinking when he invited Gonjasufi on the stage at Worldwide Festival?
It was great.
But the other 50 were literally throwing roses at us.
It was amazing that concert, and then you went and did some touring, and that, I think it all ended up a little bit strange, right? I think I remember. I think I saw you at the beginning and at the end, and there was a different energy.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God.
What happened at that tour?
Well, Gonjasufi, when we were in Set, he cut his hand on a rock, and we received a little hesitation from the locals helping. Mend his wound, so
Right.
we walked 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers or something to the hospital. We walked there.
We have to make the point, at that time the festival was still just coming up. The locals didn't quite know what the festival was.
Yeah, this is 2010. So when we come up with Gonjasufi, you know, he looks a little like he might be aggressive, but if you know him, he's a super disciplined, balanced yogi, amazing man. But he's only crazy on stage when he wants to be. But anyway, we ended up walking really far to mend his hand, and then after that, we were all just so spun out. Like, it just, next thing you know, we were kind of all walking around with kind of a chip on our shoulder a little bit. But that's one of the things you have to learn on tour, is that you're not an artist until you hit the stage. You are just a human being like everyone else, and you have to be polite and smile as much as possible, and people will smile back eventually. Maybe not everybody, but if you can keep a positive mental attitude while you're touring, it changes everything, you know. And that we had to learn the hard way. But to be honest, touring with Sumach is really interesting because he is so powerful. His energy, people just stare at him everywhere we go. Like, you think it's bad for me. People don't even look at me when I'm standing next to him. It's all about him. I mean, he looks like a Sufi straight out of India or something, mixed with this hip-hop guy, reggae performer. Like, you don't know who he is or where he comes from. So it's always interesting.
Yeah.
He meets amazing people, and he gets into crazy shit, and I'm just following him around on tour and trying to steer him in the right way, but I can't. I just have to follow him because it's so entertaining to see all the people he meets and the interactions he has. It's incredible. I miss touring with him. I hope that this record on Warp comes out and gets him back out to Europe.
So there's a new record coming.
Yeah, he's done with his new record. I don't know. I don't think there's any announcements or anything like that.
Are you involved in that?
But I wish that I was.
Right.
I'm still sending him music, and I'm still wanting to work with him. And I know that he's probably recording over it. But if he doesn't like it like a lot, he won't even send it.
You know what?
And I respect that.
I want you to do a record with. Do you know Lonnie Holly? Have you heard any of his music?
I haven't heard Lonnie
from
Holly.
Alabama. I know that Ras G's done a little edit of his stuff.
Oh.
He's this sort of.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a singer, folky, amazing. And I think with you and him, I'm going to give you some of his stuff.
Cool. I would love to hear
We'll
it.
put someone in this podcast as well, so that everybody can get on that one and enjoy it. That's
Great.
one for the future, I think. Hey man, Gaslamp Killer, absolute pleasure to have you here.
And yeah, thank you, Giles, for having me.